Guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today we have a really quick video all about how to have a quick labor and delivery without an epidural. I'm talking from experience. I had my son Reed. He is 3.5, so 3.5 years ago I had him at the hospital with midwives, and I did not have an epidural, and it was such a wonderful experience, and I'm so thankful that I got through it and came out on the other side and can talk about it to you guys and tell you some tips and tricks on how you can get through this too and come out on the other side. So let's jump into the video. Alright guys, so before we start the video, please click the like button. It helps so much. So step one is going to be pick a healthcare provider that doesn't do an epidural anyway. This may sound crazy, and why wouldn't all healthcare providers provide an epidural? But I can tell you that I went with a group of midwives that actually feel that using an epidural is really detrimental, not only to the baby, but also yourself. There are lots of complications. You could end up hitting a nerve and not even be able to use your legs anymore. I know that's extreme, but it also is a drug, and essentially for the baby is not always a great start to its life. So there are lots of reasons. You can research on your own on Google what the effects of an epidural are, but that's beside the point. The basic thing is I knew I didn't want to do it. I knew that my body was made to have a baby naturally, and so I chose to go with someone who just felt the same way. And I had to sign something that only in an emergency would I have an epidural. And it really was the best decision, because in the middle of the worst pain of my life, I had to have Pitocin, unfortunately, which makes contractions extremely intense. But in the middle of the worst part, probably around transition time, probably about 8 hours or 9 hours into my labor, I had a 10-hour labor altogether, I felt so out of control, and they said, do you want morphine? We can give you a little bit of morphine that will kind of take the edge off. And I chose not to. Thank goodness I did, because actually when my son came out, he needed a little help breathing, and that was because I was hyperventilating so much. But that's beside the point. He was okay. It was not a big deal. It was very mild, and he was fine. But doing it without drugs is so important, and I managed to get through it all. And actually, in the end, that he was my first. I am pregnant with my second. As you can see here, I'm about 32 weeks. And so he will be coming really soon. I'm having another boy. So all the midwives afterwards said, wow, you did it so fast. Like, you had Pitocin, which was already hard enough. Your water had broken, which is hard as well. It's better when your water breaks more closer to the time of actually the baby coming out. But I had all these things kind of going against me, yet I did it in 10 hours. And they said they typically see 20, 30 plus hours for first-time moms to go naturally like that. And so it was just really neat. And they said, you know, if you had an epidural, it would have taken longer. So I think 10 hours as a first-time mom is super good. I expect this next one to be much quicker. I'm praying that it will be. But it really wasn't that awful. And of course, looking back, it always, you know, time heals the pain and all that. But I think in the end, it really was manageable, and you can do it too. And that brings us to point two. You really have to have the will to get through the pain no matter what, because it will be excruciating. You might as well set yourself up to know that it will be. But I really do firmly believe that having a natural unmedicated birth is the best on your body. I was able to walk out of the hospital the very next day, and Reed actually had jaundice issues as an infant. And so it was really difficult, because we had to go to the hospital and get his little foot pricked to check for if he was still jaundiced each day after. I think it was like 2 or 3 times we had to go back. And I was walking around the hospital within 2 to 3 days after having him. I tore like so minimally. I had to have, I think, 1 or 2 stitches. Couldn't even tell you I tore. It was just really an amazing experience, and amazing to see that your body can actually heal so quickly and that you can function normally. I remember my husband Ricky was like, oh, don't keep going up and down the stairs, but I felt so normal those first few days after that I wanted to just pick up my life where it was and continue acting as if everything was fine, because I felt fairly good. The third thing is really make sure that you learn how to breathe correctly through the contractions. There are techniques, if you search on YouTube, of how to breathe through them that will help expand your uterus and make sure that there is space for the baby to move through and down. And that is just really important, because they said, the midwives told me after I had Reed, that breathing and just staying calm and trying to focus on my breathing and expand my belly through that really helped to get him out quicker and have the contractions work better. And number 4, the last thing that really I attribute to helping so much is once you get to the final stage of pushing the baby out, make sure, no matter whether you go with a doctor or a midwife, take your time. Make sure that your support person, your husband, whoever is there with you, knows that to remind you to take your time, because all too often what happens is people go in and they push really hard and they think that they have to, be able in the end to say, I only pushed for 20 minutes and he came out. And actually that's very detrimental, because that's when you're going to tear worse, is when you push faster. So the slower that time, if it takes 2 hours to push them out, you will probably tear less, recover quicker, and have so much more success. So take your time through that, and remember to just continue breathing and to push slowly, and just take the time it takes. It really is going to make a big difference. One little extra tip is make sure to drink red raspberry leaf tea in your 3rd trimester every day. Make sure to drink some of that, because it really helps prepare your body to deliver and gets everything ready internally for the labor and birth. And I've heard there's so many benefits to that. Definitely drop comments if you know things that would help out as well. Let me know your experience, what you've been through, or what you are going to be going through if you're pregnant, coming up really soon and having the baby. I know for me, I'm getting really excited to get to go through this again and to see the difference between a first and a second now birth, a natural birth. So right now, this little guy is breech. I'm hoping he'll turn around and everything will work out perfectly, but I'm keeping my mind positive, on positive thoughts, and knowing that that will be if it's meant to be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out my other videos on pregnancy. I have a ton of videos. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in the next video.